We made it. We're finally here in week 3. It just feels like a brand new year. Like, I feel so good. This week's video was actually supposed to be something that has to do with physical health, but you can tell how I felt about that. I did not want to do that. I didn't want to go to the gym. So, I'll leave that for next week's video. And instead, we're gonna do what I do best. We're gonna talk about the books I read in 2025. And as I did not read that many books in 2025, we're actually gonna be doing a book situation. Sorry. I'm actually gonna add some books that I read in 2024 as well, because 2025 was my worst reading year. I just did not read that much. All right, so let's get started. I'll be honest, yeah. I'm basically going to be talking about the books I read this year, giving a little bit of a detail about how I felt about it, giving it a final rating, and moving on. Maybe I'll tell you if I recommend it as well, but books, personally, have never done me well. So a lot of these books are popular, by the way. I'll be completely honest. I'm not really good with the popular ones. Maybe the things that trend are not typically the things I enjoy. And I hope this doesn't make people mad. It's just a book review / book situation. Okay. So let's not get our pennies in a twist. It's literally something so simple. Literally just a penny, literally. Chill. So I got my Goodreads account right here on my laptop, and I got the physical poppies right next to me as well. One we're starting with is actually Criminally Famous, and emphasis on criminal. I hate this book. I literally wished that I liked it. The hype around it, the kind of merchandise this fandom is getting, products, and the quality and the amazing reading experience the lovers of this book is getting. I wanted it too, and then I just couldn't bring myself to like this book, and that book is Fourth Wing. I am not the only one that hates this book. Thank God. I feel like one thing that I really hate for myself is when I don't like a book and the rest of the world really likes it, and then I just feel like I'm alone in that situation. I'm not with Fourth Wing, so thank goodness. Seriously. The idea of dragons and fantasy and all that, I really, really liked it. As you can see, I have Toothless up here. Meanwhile, this book was just not it for me. I started it, got to the part where I'm gonna spoil it actually. So when I first got through the first few pages, and then I literally got a world dump in page 7, because she was crossing the parapet and she literally was just screaming the world building and the history of this universe to me in my face, and I just had to absorb that information. It was a lot. I would love to get into a full detail as to why I hate this book. However, I think a lot of people have done that already, and I'm not sure if that is what I want to do to an author when I want to be an author. But I will say I hate this book. I hate every character. I especially hate Violet Sorrengail. Maybe it's that I haven't read that many fantasies. That is also a very huge possibility. However, that is how I feel about her right now. Next book I read is Five Survive by Holly Jackson. I actually read the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, and I adored I I ate it up. It was so good. Especially the first book. I devoured that in 2020. It was literally the best thing I've ever read. This book, however, can't say I loved it. It just wasn't the best. I gave it a 3 stars. There was a character in here that was very obviously meant to be annoying, so he's half the reason why a point is gone, but he's meant to be annoying. So it is good writing, because she did write him with character, but I hated him throughout the entire book. The main character, she was so flavorless. She was just a blank page. She had one main trauma point, and we just never got to get to know her as a person, but outside of this trauma. It's so plain. I feel like people are way more than their trauma, and the way they respond to their trauma is very important. And I feel like she did not have a distinct way of responding to her trauma. However, her trauma is brought up 24/7. The plot twist I was able to guess, which I don't always hate, It was a quick, easy, phenomenal read, to be honest. I went through this in a day, and it was a really fast. I ate the story up. I remember it. It's memorable. So with that, it's 3 stars. Would I recommend? Absolutely. Next book I read and DNF. Hear me out. I DNF'd it because maybe this isn't the book I wanted to read at that very moment. and that book is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. When I read this book, I felt so at home. Just reading about this main character was so homey. Like, I felt like I knew her. Like, she was my little sister. As an adult is when it dawned to me just how Black and Muslim I really am. And reading this, it just really felt like, just felt very homey, very real, very true to the world. You know, I think the reason why I DNF'd it, it's not because it's boring. The story is actually very fast paced and I really liked how it was going. That's where I left off, and I do plan to pick up the book again. There was this one concept that I didn't understand. I think really it's my own negligence. My own negligence made me put the book down, basically. I do plan to pick it back up when I'm like fully there attentively to read that book, but right now I'm not. So like that's the reason why I DNF'd it, but it doesn't mean I'm not picking it up. No, the next book is probably my most disappointing read of the entire year. I was counting on this book to make my year. I was counting on this book to make me to break my heart, to shatter everything within me. I was expecting this book to really ruin my life. Did it ruin my life? Yes, but not in like the good way. Yeah. The third book in the Powerless trilogy, Fearless. Here's the thing with this book, yeah. I already know this book is a copy of Red Queen. I read Red Queen and I also read this book and I realized it is wow, it is disgustingly the same. But I think what really made me think, you know what, let me keep giving it a chance was the fact that it was pretty fun to read. You know, like a popcorn book, like that's truly a popcorn book for me. Other than the obnoxious banter and like the crazy amount of conversations that just never end up being serious because they're flirting too much between Kai and Peyton, I actually think it was fun to read the words on these pages, basically, of the previous books, mind you, not not this one. I was counting on this one to complete the story, to officially answer all of the questions I had from the other stories, from the other books. I wanted this book to wrap up the world of Powerless. Tell me what I've been reading this whole series for. To give me some depth, to give me some character development. But the characters from book 1 to book 3 and the finale have remained the absolute same. Ugh. If it's truly a characteristic that's grounded in their soul and they just cannot change that no matter what, I respect that. I respect that 1,000,000%. If they cannot have character development because this quality is engraved in their soul, I accept that. I think that's amazing writing. However, these characters are bland. They've been bland since season 1. So we have bland characters. We have a very thick book where half of this is really a repeated story of book 1. Mind you, this main character also magically goes through everything okay. Like, she does not somehow. Sorry, like, I'm ranting about this book, but this is the most disappointing read because there's only so much bullshit I can take. That was rude. How the hell did this girl get through a desert that people allegedly die from just because like cannot survive in? Like, even the strongest people cannot survive in that desert. But somehow miraculously this girl does. Like, you're telling me this girl with no powers really survived? Like, there's only so much. Also, the way it ended. 1 star. Next book I read was my best friend. Literally my best friend. Like, I genuinely feel like this author is my best friend. If I go if I go to Indigo and I see this author on the shelf, I'm consulting her. I'm picking her up. I'm picking up her book and I'm looking at it and I'm gonna be like, my sister came through again. Again, she came through. That sister is none other than Ali Hazelwood. And that book that I read is Deep End. Did sister come through with this book? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. This book, though, if we're going to be completely honest, is not her best. I'm still a big fan of The Love Hypothesis and Check and Mate. I like that book as well. I'm controversial, but I actually really like Bride as well. This relationship was based off of, I don't know if I could say this word on the internet. So awkward. Like, I can't say these words out loud, but this book it's about, like, ink, okay? Inks, like, this book it was an adult book, yeah, how about that? It made me uncomfortable because in real life, I just don't think this type of story would slide, where, like, your best friend who is with this person, like, a friend of yours who's with this man, basically letting you... am I saying this correctly? So there was an exaggeration of what inks... were going to be used in this book, and it was actually very underwhelming. Not that I was looking for not that I was looking for, like, I promise I wouldn't be. This book is, it was a 3 stars. How about that? Let's just leave it as it's 3 stars, and if we want to talk about this a little bit more, we have to make a whole other video for that. Another book that we read this year is King of Wrath by Ana Huang. Let's just say that I did read the Twisted series, not all of it. I read, I think, 2 books from it. I read the first one, Twisted Love, and I think I read Twisted Hate. So maybe, I don't know if that's the second or the third book, but I read those 2 books. Let's just say not necessarily my first pick. So I decided, like, let me try her other series to see, like, what else she's got cooking in there in her roster. And I found out that she has, like, a billionaire series where, like, she's making, like, a trilogy, or, like, I don't know if it's a trilogy or if it's, like, hella books. I think it's, like, a whole book series of, like, multiple books. So I picked up King of Wrath, which is the first book in that selection of, like, that concoction of billionaire. Excuse me. And I rated it 2 stars on my Goodreads. I actually have the book on my shelf. I don't know why I'm telling you this. Like, I could be holding the book right now. I do remember that the characters were in their 30s. Maybe it's a little bit weird when you're describing an adult relationship the way high schoolers would define their first time situationships, right? In his mind, he's thinking, like, what is this feeling in my, oh my god, I hate her, but like, why do I hate her? Because I love her? Characters read like teenagers, their problems read like teenagers, the way they process their relationship felt like teenagers. And then there was a random part in the book where they said that Dante was 36, and I yelped. I physically went, no, I just feel like she shouldn't have made an adult romance if they were going to act like that. Do you get what I mean? Next, I read The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. The Housemaid, I would have to say, was a great book, though. I enjoyed it, and I actually rated it 3 stars, but from what I remember from it, it was pretty fun. I would have rated it 4 now that it's over. I know that this book has a movie coming up, but Sydney Sweeney is in it, and, like, that just goes against everything that I care about, you know? No hate on, like, Sydney Sweeney. The jeans ad was not a good look, and the MAGA family is not a good look, and then her interview was not a good look. So, like, is this a woman I should be paying money to see? I don't know. So I'm not going to be watching this movie in theaters. The pirated websites will be hearing from me, though. The plot was great. The plot was mysterious. It was juicy. Nina was so weird, and there was just this intense, like, desire to understand what the hell her problem was. And then there was her husband who was, like, super hot, and it was, like, this whole thing, and it was just really cool. And that book I gave a 3 stars for some reason, but I'm gonna say 4. Absolutely do I recommend this book 1,000,000,000%. Next, we have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I'm actually very nervous to talk about this book because it's got a cult following. I think it's the author herself that has a cult following. I second that. I think her writing is incredible when I read her books, because I realized things need to be happening for me to enjoy them. You know what I mean? Like, people need to be raise the stakes. I want death. I want terror. I want chaos.
I want problems always.
And, like, what did I rate it? I rated it a 2 stars. So that's actually all I read. That's all I read in the last 2 years. I'll just for fun, I'm gonna keep talking about books I've read and then I've absolutely liked or hated and what I recommended and whatnot. I read also Verity by Colleen Hoover. This book was amazing. I'm not a hater at the end of the day. Colleen Hoover, I heard the craziest things about that lady. When a book is good, I will always admit, I love creativity. I love people that write, and I love it when a book is good. And this book was good. This book was objectively a decent storyline that I could follow. It was also a little bit, but it was good. It was good. It had a point A and it had a point B, and then it had a little bit of a point C, and there was an ending that was like, and then it was like, I had to decide, basically. The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This book actually had me in tears because the dialogue was so, like, Fine Print, I rated 1 star, though. Do not recommend this garbage.
Oh!
Let me not do that. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here because I don't want to talk about the books I hated too much or the books that I really, really enjoyed too much. because I feel like I should make separate videos for those, and I just want to drag those videos as long as possible. Anything to get me away from the gym. I hate the gym so much. So if I can get away from the gym, I'm gonna get away from the gym. Thanks for tuning in if you did, and if you didn't tune in, hey, what are you doing? Tune in! We are in it for the ride. We are here for life. But trust, this is season freaking 1. If season 1 is successful, and by that I mean really doing a video every week to like explain, like improve in life, best believe there's a season 2. Best believe there's a season 3. I am on a time crunch. I have so much shit to do. I'm in school. I got ton of shit to do right now. Like I have to freaking edit this video now too, and like I hate editing. Like, ugh. And I'll see you next week. What are we doing next week? Maybe the gym, maybe not.